What's up, y'all? I've got some really interesting buffs and changes for Cosmoem. No longer useless. It's actually genuinely a good, useful Pokemon. It's still a bit gimmicky, but it can definitely work in the context of the hack. It's absurdly bulky. 43, 181, 181 with a Violite. It's very bulky. I'm not sure if it's the bulkiest thing ever. It might be with the Violite, but of course that is using up an held item slot and all that stuff. But and also pure psychic is not great defensively. It doesn't have many resistances. It's not terrible. But the main thing here is just the sheer bulk that comes with a Violite Cosmoem and the fact that it has good abilities and actual moves that it can use for support. The best one at level 45 is Soul Absorb. Soul Absorb is a bit of a weird choice, but I wanted to give it to them because it makes them actually useful. So as you can see on screen, there are tons of new moves in this hack. There are 130 plus custom brand new ones and 600 plus move buffs and changes to existing moves that you can check out in the description. There's a link to the same Google Sheet I'm sharing on screen right now. You can look at all types of crazy stuff. All of the move buffs and changes are laid out in great detail, so do give those a look. But as for Cosmoem, I think Soul Absorb fits well enough flavor-wise. It's not a ghost type, I know that, but number one, I wanted to give it a way to deal consistent damage late game. Of course, that is late game. That's like mid-late game. You'll be getting Soul Absorb mid Ula Ula Island after like the first Guzma fight, after Totem Mimikyu, after Plumeria, like before the second Guzma fight, or around the second Guzma fight is when you'll be getting Soul Absorb. And of course, you have good stuff before then. It's not useless before then. I mean, Mirror Coat. I'll get into it, but I just want to cover Soul Absorb and why I gave it that, because that might seem weird. It talks about absorbing light. It talks about absorbing starlight. And then it says it sucks in dust from the air. It frantically builds up energy. And then it also says it's motionless as if it were dead. And it also can evolve into a ghost type. Not anymore, yes. Cosmoem still works with the Violite. However, the evolution method is impossible. I'm not going to tell people what it is, but it's something that will never happen. It's illegal. It's a move that I can't learn. So, but that's in the files, it can still, like, what am I trying to say here? It still gets the Violite boost because it can technically evolve. So, but Solgaleo and Lunala are not usable like the other cover legendaries in this hack. They're not usable. Only exceptions to those are Ho-Oh and Lugia. Because there was no trainer, or they don't ever show up, so I figured may as well give them to the player post game. But yeah. Also, they're not really that broken. This is kind of funny, but yeah. Soul Absorb, awesome. Soul Absorb is Nightshade, okay? So Nightshade fits Cosmog and Cosmog really well, in my opinion, as well. That's another reason I give Soul Absorb, because the animation for Nightshade fits them nicely. So Soul Absorb is Nightshade, but it heals you. So essentially, you're level 45, you're dealing 45 damage, and you're healing 45 damage back. And that's incredible, especially because of your HP stat being garbage. Your HP stat is very low, but that works to your advantage with Soul Absorb. It works to your disadvantage with Mirror Coat, but it works to your advantage with Soul Absorb. So it's super fun. This thing in general is a very good bulky pivot, great support Pokemon. I did give it Volt Switch. Volt Switch is widely distributed in this hack, and I think Volt Switch fits them well enough. Same with moves like T-Wave and Electric Terrain, which are all just good, useful utility moves for Cosmoem to use. But mostly Volt Switch is a great pivot. Shell Armor and Unaware are very useful. Unaware was from Cosmog, and I just kept it on Cosmoem. And then basically you're using that infinite use ability capsule to switch between those two abilities depending on the situation. Unaware is great for totems, especially with Clear Smog and Priority Haze, both of which also fit even Cosmog very well in my opinion, because it's like this little cloud of gas. I can see it using Clear Smog and Haze. But yeah, like I said, their only direct damaging moves are Volt Switch, Soul Absorb, and Stored Power. Everything else is not, and then Mirror Coat technically. But that doesn't really count as direct, in my opinion. But yeah, Soul Absorb, you click it, it does damage. Volt Switch, technically it does damage, but it's not, I mean, if it's like 4 times effective, sure, it'll do damage. But the main use of Volt Switch is as a pivot to get into your like frailer Pokemon safely. It's basically functions like Teleport does in Gen 9 on this guy, because he's also super slow. They don't learn Teleport anymore just because it's going to be an island scan. Because of the fact that Solgaleo and Lunala are now unobtainable, you wouldn't be able to get Cosmog anymore. So it's going to be an island scan. It'll be early in the game, and then it'll evolve in time for Olivia. So it's like a genuine Pokemon. You can use it. It's fun, and it has good options. Very bulky, great pivot. Shell Armor is incredible with all of the new crit moves in this hack. There are dozens of them, moves that will always crit and moves that crit half the time. So these moves will all crit 100% of the time with the Scope Lens, and those are on all types of Ruthless Pokemon. Ruthless working like Sniper if you are new here. And then all of these moves will crit 100% of the time. So there's a whole giant list that you can see on screen right now of all these crazy moves. And a lot of them are very common. So being able to neuter the damage of those is great. You can switch in on like first impressions for days. Even though you're weak to it, you're still, I mean, with 181 defense and a Violate, like and it's only 60 base power with Shell Armor, it's great. And Shell Armor fits very well. The dex does call it a shell. It says it's Golden Shell. So that's why I gave it Shell Armor as opposed to like Battle Armor. Not that it matters, they do the same thing. Shell Armor is also great because you can use Stored Power or Iron Defense or Calm Mind and not have to worry about either the chance of a crit or 100% crit rate moves, which like I just said are very common, and those will bypass through defensive boosts. That's a big common nerf to setup Pokemon, especially bulkier setup Pokemon, and of course faster setup Pokemon are hurt by the fact that there's priority moves everywhere. So it balances out. But in Cosmoem's case, it's not getting crit. So essentially what you can do is you can use Cosmic Power. They'll still have limited PP, so you can only get 3 Cosmic Powers or 3 Calm Minds or 2 Iron Defenses at most. So you just have to keep that in mind. But 3 Calm Mind, you know, at +3 special attack, +3 speed F, +4 defense, you're living everything. And then you can either just use, honestly, I would probably just use Soul Absorb, but once that's not until 5 levels later. So Stored Power is really good with Calm Mind, especially. You can actually do some, funnily enough, decent damage at +3 special attack with what base power would be 80 base power Stored Power. The thing is with Stored Power is that it only has 3 PP on this hack, but Stored Power and Power Trip will both give you +1 attack or special attack, so you'll get even stronger. But that's also just so you can't 6-0 trainers with normal Cosmic Stored Power Pokemon. Of course, Cosmoem wouldn't be able to do that in general, but it's balanced for other Pokemon. Decent little option. Probably wouldn't keep it that long. Soul Absorb is, I would say, objectively better. The only downside is you can't hit normal types with Soul Absorb, but Soul Absorb is like, this thing will live forever. The only downside also is Taunt. Taunt will prevent you from setting up, so you need to keep that in mind. You can use Magic Coat. Magic Coat is normally a post-game tutor move because it's very situational, but all the post-game tutor moves are situational besides Superpower and a couple others. Those ones are post-game because they're too strong for the Ula Ula Beach tutor, which is why Pokemon have it by level up. But yeah, Soul Absorb, great. You can like try to bypass Taunt. You can use Magic Coat to bounce back Taunt, and then you can Cosmic Power 3 times, and then you can Soul Absorb spam, and you're immune to crits, so that's awesome. Unaware is great for totems, especially. Also, if you do see a setup move on the opponent's team, because again, this is all balanced in game, you'll look at their trainer's team, you'll see, do they have a setup Pokemon? If they do, you'll run Unaware for that fight. You can use Priority Haze to phase them out. You can use regular Clear Smog if you don't want Haze for whatever reason. I don't know why you would do Clear Smog over Haze, but some situations, maybe if they taunt you or something, Clear Smog is more consistent in that regard. But of course, you can't use it on Steel types, and it's not priority while Haze is. So I would say Haze is better, but depends on your situation. There's always a use case for all of these moves. Even Power Split is really fun and actually really good, like really good. Power Split, if you don't know what that does, it basically averages your attack and special attack with the opponent. So what you could do is you can switch in on any, for example, Ruthless Pokemon are super threatening, right? Because you can't intimidate them. Those crits will bypass through Intimidate. You can't Battle Cry, you can't Parting Shot. So the counterplay to those guys is just to outspeed them, or to pivot around, or use priority moves on them. Or just live the attacks there normally, because there's still bulky Pokemon that can still live even the crit moves, even if they are Ruthless boosted. But with Shell Armor, what you can do is you can come in, wall one of them, and then you can Power Split and completely neuter their damage output, and then you can Volt Switch into your teammates. It's great. It's such a good utility Pokemon. One of the best, I would say. Wobbuffet is also up there. Wobbuffet is very similar to Cosmoem. Wobbuffet has different tools, a lot of different tools, but it is less bulky overall than Cosmoem. But it has different tools and is really cool and fun to use for sure. And you can go check out that video. It's a bit outdated. I'll probably record it, but you can also check out what they could do on the Google Sheets. That's more relevant. Just look at it on the sheets. Gens 1 to 4, you can see Wobbuffet. Yeah, Trick Room level 50, that's also pretty good. You can use Quick Claw Trick Room. You don't have to run a Violet every fight because you're bulky enough to take hits without it. So you might run a different item for some fights. Trick Room is really great in that regard. You can Trick Room, then Volt Switch into your Trick Room Abuser, and you'll have 3 full turns to abuse. Very, very fun. Quick Claw Trick Room will just be to bypass Taunt, by the way, on the lead if you want to do it versus the lead Pokemon, if they do have Taunt, which they frequently will. Otherwise, you can just come in, live a hit, Trick Room, Volt Switch, and you're good to go. That's why I think Volt Switch is one of the best moves on them. It's just a great pivot. Disable is really useful. Again, the AI does not switch out, so that move will be disabled for, I believe I buffed it to 5 turns. Let me check myself. I'm pretty sure I buffed it to 5 turns. So disable is even better now. Very useful move. Mirror Coat, like I said, good damage output in that regard. You do have Moonlight for reliable recovery, so you can Mirror Coat Moonlight spam. Strange Impulse will drop special attack by 2, so you can come in and neuter special attackers with ease with that. And that's really about it. Confuse Ray is not that good. I wouldn't run it. It's just there for flavor, and I guess if you really wanted to, but Confusion in Gen 7 is bad. It's a 1 in 3 chance. Like, it's not worth banking on. Pain Split, if you deleted Moonlight, you can use that to heal up, or in some situations, Pain Split can actually be better, especially because of your low HP stat. You can actually deal some good damage with Pain Split. Electric Terrain is just if you happen to have a Volt Rush Pokemon, or you happen to have some type of strategy that revolves around the terrain going up. Say you want to override the opponent's terrain. Say you want to activate Volt Rush, say you want to activate Nature Power on an ally, say you just want to boost up a strong electric type on your team, whatever it may be, Electric Terrain is useful as a TM. Gravity Skill Swap, all that stuff is situational. Skill Swap is pretty good though, for totems especially. You can neuter a lot of stuff with that. Rest and Sleep Talk, if you deleted Moonlight, you can use that as well to heal. Dual Screen is pretty decent. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. The music is looping now, so I'll leave it off there, but I will say Cosmog is also tied for the weakest Pokemon in the game alongside Magikarp. Both of them are 200 BST, the lowest BST in the game, and they are useless. Technically Cosmog has moves, but the stats are so bad and it's not worth using. I mean, you'll be getting an Island Scan probably somewhere on a Kala Island, wherever I can fit it. It doesn't matter where it goes. As long as it's before Olivia, I don't care where it goes. So it might even be on Melee Island, but obviously you wouldn't. It's not optimal. I mean, yeah, I guess in theory you could use it for Hala, but like, you shouldn't do that. Cosmoem is the real thing here. Cosmog is, I think it's soulful if Cosmog is garbage and unusable. Same with Magikarp. Also because there's no way to make them good, in my opinion. I could pull an Unknown and give Cosmog Wonder Guard with no attacks. Although Unknown actually has attacks, so Unknown's actually a good Wonder Guard mon. But I don't want 2 Pure Psychic Wonder Guard Pokemon. I feel like that kind of makes Unknown feel less special if Cosmog has it, even if Cosmog is useless. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the video off there. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully this was informative. Again, do check out that Google Sheet in the description. I appreciate you listening this far into the video. Leave a comment down below. Just leave a comment down below. Tell me if you listened this far in. All right, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'll be back for one more video until I go back and redo a couple of older months. Peace, y'all.